Listening to problem solving.
Hello?
Hi, Mingu. This is Yana.
Oh, hi, Yana. What's up?
My best friend is in a band, and I'm going to one of his concerts this weekend. I'd love to take some pictures for his website. Would you mind if I borrowed your new camera?
No. That's okay, I guess. I don't think I'll need it for anything.
Thanks a million.
Sure. Have you used a camera like mine before? It's sort of complicated.
Uh-huh, sure, a couple of times. Would it be okay if I picked it up on Friday night?
Yeah, I guess so.
Question 1. Why is Yana calling her friend? Question 2. Why does Mingyu sound concerned? Question 3. What has Yana got planned for the weekend? Now listen to part 2.
Hello?
Hi, Carrie. This is Yana.
Oh, hi, Yana.
I was wondering if you could do me a favor.
That depends.
Well, I have to go to a concert this weekend. Would it be okay if I borrowed that shirt of yours that I like so much?
That silver one? Oh, sure.
Thanks a lot. I'll come by and pick it up tonight.
That's fine.
Question 4. How does Carrie react to Yana's request? Question 5. When will Yana go pick up the shirt? Now listen to part 3.
Andy Parker?
Hi, Andy. It's Yana.
Oh, hello. How are you?
Pretty good, thanks. Listen, the reason I'm calling is I have a really big favor to ask you.
Yes?
Remember I told you about that friend of mine who's doing a show this weekend?
Yeah, I remember. And?
Well, the concert's this Saturday afternoon, and it's out of town, about an hour's drive from here. And I was wondering if I could borrow your car for the afternoon to get there.
Gee, Yana, I'd really love to help you out, but I'm going to need my car all weekend. I've got a friend coming in from out of town, and I promised to show her around.
Oh, okay. I understand. But anyway, how are things? I haven't seen you for ages.
Oh, you know, work, work, work.
Question 6. What does Yana want from Andy? Question 7. Why does Andy say no to Yana? Question 8. How has Andy's life been lately?
Listening to a daily life conversation.
Are you ready? Let's welcome our first guest, Peter. Okay, Peter, can you tell us a little about your job?
Sure, Wayne. At my job, I work with food. My work is very interesting because I can enjoy good food and I can be creative.
That does sound interesting. Okay, Rita, go ahead and ask your 3 questions.
Do you work in a restaurant?
No, I don't.
Do you work in a bakery?
No, I don't. I work in a factory.
A factory? Do you make food?
Yes, I help to make food.
Okay, that's 3 questions. Now, Rita, can you guess Peter's job?
Are you a chef?
No, I'm not a chef.
Sorry, Rita. So tell us, Peter, what do you do?
I'm an ice cream taster.
An ice cream taster?
That's right. I work in an ice cream factory. I make sure the ice cream tastes good. I also think of interesting new flavors to make.
Gee, sounds like a difficult job, Peter. You taste ice cream all day and you get paid for it.
Yes, that's right. I'm lucky to have such a great job.
Good for you. So tell us, Peter, is there anything difficult about your job?
Well, I guess so. For one thing, I can't eat all the ice cream. Otherwise, I'd get too full. I only taste a little bit of ice cream, and then I have to spit it out.
I see. Is there anything else that's difficult?
Let me think. Well, I have to be very careful to take care of my taste buds. For example, I can't eat spicy or hot foods.
Really?
Yes, and I don't drink alcohol or coffee, and I don't smoke either. If I did those things, I might hurt my taste buds, and then I wouldn't be able to taste the ice cream very well.
Wow, you do have to be careful.
Yes, I do. In fact, my taste buds are so important that they are covered by a $1 million insurance policy.
$1 million? You don't say.
That's right. You see, if I can't taste the ice cream, my company and I will lose a lot of money.
Gee, you do have a very important job, Peter. So how did you get started as an ice cream taster? Did you go to ice cream tasting school?
Oh, no. My family has been in the ice cream business for a long time. I've always wanted to work with ice cream, too.
That's great, Peter. Thank you very much for being on the show and keep up the good work.
Question 1.
What incorrect answers does Rita give?
Question 2.
What does an ice cream taster do?
Question 3.
What does Peter say is difficult about an ice cream taster's job?
Question 4.
What is most important for Peter's job?
Question 5.
Why did Peter become an ice cream taster?
Listening for information.
Lori, how are you? Every time I pass your house, I notice how many birds there are, flying about, chirping away, and so many different kinds. How do you do it?
Easy. I build birdhouses. I have a bird bath in the yard, and I put out lots of food for them.
You mean you put seed in a bird feeder? I've seen bags of bird seed at grocery stores and hardware stores. Perhaps I should buy a bag.
Keep in mind that different kinds of seeds attract different kinds of birds. Sunflower seeds attract the greatest variety. Goldfinches like thistle seed, but we don't have goldfinches here. Not only that, I actually make my own suet cakes.
What? Oh, you mean those blocks of seed that you put in a metal cage for birds to pick at? How do you make those?
I can give you the recipe, but basically I melt a big chunk of suet, that's just animal fat, in a pan, and I add some peanut butter, and then about a cup of cornmeal to thicken it.
Next, you add the seeds?
Yes, and not just seeds. I also put in some fruit, and since I don't want the squirrels to eat it, I put in some red chili powder.
I had no idea that squirrels don't like chili. I'm surprised the birds aren't put off by it.
Me too. Then I pat the mixture into a container to shape it and put it in the fridge overnight to set. In the morning, I pop it out and put it into the wire cage you mentioned.
That sounds pretty simple. Yes, I'd love to have the recipe.
I also make my own hummingbird nectar. It's even easier. I just boil 1 cup water with 1/4 cup sugar, or 2 cups water and half a cup sugar.
Really? Ordinary white sugar? But aren't they always telling us how bad sugar is for us?
Yes, for us, but it's okay for hummingbirds and ants, unfortunately. You shouldn't put red food coloring in the sugar water, though. That's bad for them. It's better to buy a red hummingbird feeder.
Question 1.
What is the conversation mainly about?
Question 2.
What kind of seed does the woman probably buy?
Question 3.
Why does the woman put red chili powder in her suet cakes?
Question 4.
Why does she put the suet mixture in the fridge?
Question 5.
What does the man think about her use of white sugar?
Question 6.
What will the man most likely do after talking to the woman?
A few months ago, Pedro Ramirez, 45, lost his job in a grocery store. To pay the bills, he got a part-time job at night. Several days later, Pedro's wife, Luisa, gave him a big surprise. She was pregnant with their 6th child. Pedro was happy but worried. How am I going to support another child without a full-time job? He wondered. That evening, Pedro and Luisa got some more news. A fire was coming near their home. By the next morning, the fire was very close. The police ordered every family in the neighborhood to evacuate. The Ramirez family moved quickly. While Pedro was gathering their legal documents, Luisa grabbed the family photographs, and the children put their pets, a cat and a bird, in the family's van. Then, the family drove to the home of Luisa's sister, 1 hour away. About 24 hours later, Pedro and Luisa got very bad news. The fire destroyed their home. They lost almost everything. With no home, only part-time work, and a baby coming, Pedro was even more worried about the future. For the next 3 months, the Ramirez family stayed with Luisa's sister while workers were rebuilding their home. Many generous people helped them during that difficult time. Friends took them shopping for clothes. Strangers left gifts at their door. A group of children collected $500 to buy bicycles for the Ramirez children. Because of all the help from friends and neighbors, the Ramirez family was able to rebuild their lives. 2 months after the fire, Luisa mailed out holiday cards with this message: "Home is more than a building. Home is wherever there is love."
Listening to a news item. During a press conference on Friday, Mayor Billy Barnes announced that the city would be paying the owners of the Bosworth BC Tigers hockey team $4 million to end their contract with the city of Bosworth. The 10-year contract was originally signed in 2010, and the $4 million figure was an agreed-upon penalty the city would pay if they broke the contract. The mayor acknowledged that the city had been losing money for years due to low attendance at Bosworth Arena. He reminded the small crowd gathered that it was his predecessor, Michael Matoli, who initially signed the contract with the team. Barnes said he believed Matoli made a mistake, but did not blame him. The fact is, we should have realized that a city of our size, with a population less than 80,000, is simply not capable of filling an 8,000-seat arena for 30 games per season, Barnes said. The team's owners could not be reached for comment, but anonymous reports suggest that the team is considering relocating to Lucan City, Ontario, which has a population of 200,000. Listening to a discussion.
You know, Lori, every lecture that Professor Blake gives is good, but I thought the one today was really interesting.
I know, Rob. I was sitting in the lecture thinking about it. You know, what success is? Like, really, are people successful just because they work hard and make lots of money?
I know. It has to be more complex than that. I mean, neither of my grandparents was particularly successful in terms of earning a lot of money or as far as careers go. But as far as I know, they both considered themselves to be successful in life. You know, they enjoyed their family and...
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, being successful is not really about work. Well, at least it's not the most important factor. I suppose when it comes to success, it's having anything that society values, and that could be friends, close family and just being around nice people. I mean, that seems more important.
Right. Actually, I went online after the lecture. I was in the hallway waiting for you, and I checked out a few articles about success. And nearly all of them were saying that being successful makes people happy. But then I found this one article. It was research they did. I forget where. Some university. And it showed the opposite. That actually people become successful because they are happy.
So, happiness leads to success? Not the other way around?
Exactly. So I guess all we need to do is learn how to be happy.
Interesting. But why are happy people more successful?
Well, it said happy people are more likely to try new things. I guess happy people tend to have a lot more things going on in their lives, and they challenge themselves.
And then they feel even happier and more positive, and that results in success at work, and good relationships and better health and everything. So, for example, people who are wealthier, that's because they are happy?
Yeah, they're not happy because they make a lot of money. They're happy first, and that leads them to their wealth. The researchers said if you spend more time being positive, then you'll be more successful.
Well, I guess that follows, actually. I mean, I can totally see that. So does that work for whole countries, too?
Well, these researchers seem to think so. They said government should have policies that make happiness a priority.
So like what, for example?
Like good health programs and good public transportation and safety. The same kinds of things that Professor Blake talked about.
Listening to a daily life conversation.
Hey, Lynn. I was just on my way to your desk. Deborah and I are taking the kids for a drive to Algonquin Park this weekend to see the fall colors. And we wanted to know if you, Chen, and the kids would like to come with us.
The fall colors? Oh, you mean the trees. Right, Algonquin is full of maple trees, isn't it?
Actually, it's full of evergreen trees, but there are several spots that have maple trees. We can drive into the park, then pull off the highway at a campground. We'll all go for a walk, see the beautiful trees, then have a picnic lunch.
Are the trails very difficult? Chen's not the greatest athlete, and our kids are still small. Do we need to worry about bears and snakes?
If we keep to the trails, I don't think we'll have to worry about bears or snakes. Some of the trails are difficult, but some are easy. Deborah's okay with animals, but I know she isn't fond of heights. So we don't want one of those lookout trails that take you up to the top of a cliff.
A trail beside a lake would be nice, and I know Deborah would like that too. Ever since we moved, I've missed seeing the water every day. How long of a drive is it?
A couple hours. More, depending on which trail we pick. I say we make a day of it. Leave early Saturday morning, get back late Saturday evening. Why don't you come over to my desk on your coffee break and we'll take a look. Choose one that suits both of us.
Okay, it sounds wonderful. We should plan a stop halfway there to give the kids a break.
That's a good idea. We'll check for that when you come over as well.
Okay. I've got to get back to my desk to the project I was working on, but I'll see you in about an hour. And thanks for inviting us.
Question 1.
Why was the man on his way to see the woman?
Question 2.
What is their conversation mainly about?
Question 3.
What is the man's wife afraid of?
Question 4.
What kind of trail does the woman want?
Question 5.
Where will the woman see the man in about an hour?
Listening to viewpoints.
The majority of people probably don't pay much attention to bees, except perhaps on the rare occasion that they're stung by one. However, that all changed with the publication of numerous articles several years ago, which reported a strange phenomenon called colony collapse disorder, CCD. Beekeepers had been opening their hives only to discover that many of their bees had mysteriously disappeared, and suddenly beekeeping became a hot news topic. According to the reports, some beekeepers had lost more than 70% of their bee colonies, and commercial beekeepers even reported losses of up to 90%. It was an alarming discovery, considering that bees pollinate over 90 of America's flowering crops, including avocados, cucumbers, and soybeans, as well as a range of fruit crops from apples to cranberries and kiwis. This is the biggest general threat to our food supply, said agricultural scientist Kevin Hackett. He has a point. According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, approximately 1/3 of our diet comes from plants that are pollinated by insects, and the honeybee is responsible for about 80% of that pollination. A Cornell University study estimated that bees pollinate more than $14 billion worth of U.S. seeds and crops annually. One example is the lucrative billion-dollar U.S. almond crop, which accounts for over 70% of the world's commercial production of almonds, and which is entirely dependent on honeybees. It is estimated that the almond crop alone would need about 1.5 million hives, roughly 2/3 of the colonies in the U.S., to produce a successful harvest. U.S. farmers were not the only ones facing this problem. A similar decline in the bee population was reported in Canada, Brazil, and parts of Europe. Researchers worldwide started looking for answers, and a range of theories for the losses soon emerged. One theory was that the bees were dying from a virus, a parasite, or a fungus infection. Other theories blamed poor bee nutrition, pesticides, and cell phone radiation. It was also suggested that bees are simply stressed because they are now raised to survive a shorter off-season and work more intensively than ever before. Since the total number of beehives has dropped by a quarter and the number of beekeepers has fallen by half, demand for beekeeping services has pushed up farmers' costs. The cost of renting a hive rose from $55 to $135 in 3 years. Many more beekeepers now travel across the country with their colonies, trucking some tens of billions of bees with them to pollinate crops. Others have started importing bees to keep up with demand. None of these solutions, however, really addresses the underlying problem. A solution needs to be found, because without bees, our food supply is threatened and our very survival is at stake. So the critical question remains not only what caused the disappearance of the bees, but what can we do about this terrible loss?